Welcome, everybody, to the August market update featuring the expertise of Mike Ott. I'm Cindy Bishop with Cindy Bishop Worldwide. Our distinguished speaker, Mike Ott, brings a wealth of experience to the table with a background as a former public school teacher and an impressive double-digit tenure in the mortgage industry. Mike has earned a stellar reputation. His unique educational approach and unwavering commitment to excellence have endeared him to both clients and agents alike. Mike's profound understanding of the intricate nuances of the market, and believe me, he's a detail man, you'll see, coupled with his unparalleled attention to detail, make this market update an indispensable resource for agents seeking to stay ahead of the curve. And I think today you'll all know you need to do that. As a senior home loan consultant at First Heritage Mortgage, Mike is well versed in the intricacies of the industry. Additionally, his status as a highly regarded and sought after trainer with us further underscores his expertise. So let's give a warm welcome to Mike. And also, this recording, after it renders this afternoon, will be on Mike's instructor page at cindybishopworldwide.com so that you can look at it again, because I have no doubt you will want to, with the detail that Mike goes into. Take it away, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August market update. Time is flying, and I'm excited that we finally have a month where we can talk about some relief in interest rates. We've had a little bit of improvement. We're going to talk about the data and the economic reports that have come out that have kind of made that possible. And fingers crossed that our trend here keeps continuing. So we'll take a first look here at the rate range across the programs. And your conventional conforming, we're about, honestly, with all programs, we're in this range. We're about a quarter better, arguably maybe 3/8 better in the current market than we were when we met here last month as I was updating this slide. So conventional conforming 6.5 to 7. When you hop up into the high balance and jumbo arena, we're looking at 6 3/4 to 7.25. Government products, VA loan rate 6.25 to 6 3/4. FHA and USDA are 6.5 to 7, kind of in line with conventional conforming, and they're usually a little bit better. So it's kind of, they're really running in tandem. It seems quite free, more so this last year than I've seen in the past. I always plug mortgagenewsdaily.com. They do a great job of tracking rates. It's a free site. You don't have to have any particular login. You don't have to subscribe to anything. And they do a really good job of tracking national rates across these programs. So definitely check that out. All right, mortgage-backed securities. If you're new and you haven't been here before, this is the mortgage-backed securities candlestick chart. We always take a look at this because it shows the movement, basically the index in the marketplace that is tied to what our interest rates are doing. And this is the Fannie Mae 6% mortgage-backed securities coupon. And I've highlighted, those of you that have been here, when we talk about the BLS jobs report, that it has been a thorn in the side of interest rates. I highlighted here on the screen the 2 previous months, and a big, if we go back to the June report, I mean, we got absolutely hammered there. And so when you see a candlestick that's red and has a serious drop to it like this has an inverse relationship. So you're thinking like, Mike, if this chart is going down, does that mean rates are going down? No, it means the opposite. When we have red and down, interest rates offered to consumers are going up. When we have green and up on the chart, that is showing us relief, and the interest rates offered to consumers are going down. So we had the June and July BLS, and remember they're reporting for the month of ahead, so that would have been May and June's report. Obviously, the May report in early June was a big crusher, dropped us down, and as you hear, we had a climb back up, and sure enough, we got another report that made the economy sound like it's just humming along and no issues. A little bit of a drop in that June reading in early July. But what really sparked us here is we finally, just this last month, in the report for July, got a really lousy jobs number. And we're going to take a closer look at that. But as you can see, we finally had a big, tall green candlestick on the chart, and it moved us up into this higher range that I've highlighted there with those bold horizontal lines going across. So we're kind of oscillating there. Hopefully we can maintain that and stay in there and maybe jump to the next level and see some more interest rate improvement. Um, it's no big hidden secret that the market right now is pretty frozen. Obviously, you're going to have your little pockets of, highly desirable areas that might be moving, uh, you know, moving pretty well. But I think the trend is we're seeing, we've had higher rates, we've had low inventory, and then we've had price increases that are putting the affordability pinch on our potential buyers. And we've kind of been stuck there. So hopefully this is a first of many good moves. All right. So since we last met, what economic labor data has come out? At the end of July, we had the June JOLTS report. That's in green because that was good. We actually had a lower number of job openings. It was below estimates, so that shows a slowing in the economy. And again, I don't mean to sound like I'm down and want the worst for the economy, but the reality is we need to see a weaker economy in this data if our hopes are to have lower interest rates and more affordability for our real estate market. July ADP employment report came out at the end of July. These were June's numbers. It showed 104,000 jobs gained in the private sector. It came in hotter than expected to 75,000. But the previous month, if you remember from last month, it came in at negative 33,000, and that was revised to negative 23. So despite it coming in hotter in July, that May number from June was still pretty anemic. The June PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, that's our inflation report. This is the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, came out on the last day of July. So in June, the headline number increased 0.3%. That was in line with expectations, and increased 0.2 to 2.6 year over year. And that was above the estimates of 2.5, but we really didn't get any damage on the charts from that. Core PCE, which strips out food and energy, that's what the Fed really says they pay attention to, increased by 0.3% month over month. And that fell in line with expectations and remained at 2.8% year over year. And it was above the estimated 2.7. Now, the BLS jobs report that we referenced there on the candlestick chart, that's in green because we got an increase of only 73,000 jobs in July, and that was below the expectation of 110. Now, I will tell you this, 110 is not great. So even if we met that expectation, I really don't think we would have seen a huge deterioration like we've had with some of the blockbuster numbers that have come out. Now, the employment gains in May and June were revised lower by a combined 258,000. You may have heard in the news recently, the president has removed the head there at the BLS. We've been seeing these negative revisions for months, or I should say month after month. Huge misses. These big numbers come out, and then next month we find that they're massively uh, watered down and with these huge negative revisions. So, their modeling, you've heard me be very critical of their modeling. Hopefully we can get some more accurate numbers going forward. Remains to be seen, but there was a change there at the BLS. Another green item here, unemployment rate went up from 4.1 to 4.2, but in the rounding, it was very close to being rounded to 4.3. So that combined data, lousy jobs number and a unemployment rate that almost went up 0.2% from one month to the next, is what kind of lifted us and has helped our the bond market essentially, and we've seen that decrease in rates, which is welcome. Average weekly earnings were up 0.6 for the month and up 4.2% year over year. Well, when earnings are up, it is seen as inflationary, and that usually counteracts what we're trying to accomplish. But we also know we need earnings to be up because the home prices are up so much, right? So we have to that's a balancing act there where we don't want to see too much inflation in earnings. But here's the catch. What's always in these reports is the average hours worked per week has been decreasing while the weekly earnings have been going up. So it's almost a wash. All right. So again, what am I coming back to then? We still have the problem of incomes are not keeping up with the increase in purchase price. All right, CPI is the latest data that came out. It came out on Tuesday. It was rather tame. This is inflation on the consumer level. It increased 0.2% month over month. That was in line with expectations, and it decreased 0.1% to 2.7 year over year, lower than the estimates of 2.8. So that's good on the headline number. The core rate, again, stripping out food and energy, increased 0.3 in July, in line with the expectations of 0.3%, and increased 0.1 to 3.1 year over year, just above estimates of 3. Now, while that's not great, we want that number lower. And you hear the Fed talk about we want inflation to run closer to a target 2% rate. The problem we're having is that we're getting replacement readings now from a year ago when inflation data was tame, and now it's coming in, let's say maybe, for lack of better terms, normal. I'd say normal because we really aren't seeing any of the impacts of tariffs yet that the markets are so tense about. It's just not showing yet. And when it shows, it could take months. There could be a huge lag for this. It's one of those we just have to wait and see. Next Fed rate decision meeting is September 17th. On that Wednesday afternoon, there will be the policy announcement at 2:00, followed by Chair Powell's press conference and question and answer session at 2:30. Expectations right now are that we're going to see a lower interest rate. At this last meeting, you had two voting members dissent. They wanted 0.25% lower in rate at the last meeting. So that's starting to show you that they are not all in agreement on monetary policy at the moment. My opinion is that's good for us. They're usually late and behind the game. And I felt like they've been behind. You'll see headlines about Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying, he feels like, that was just in the news this morning, that he feels like they're 150 to 175 basis points higher than what they probably could be right now. And obviously you're going to hear that, from the current administration. It's been no secret that the president has been, putting the pressure on Powell and the Fed board to lower rates, because the inflation numbers, as we'll take a look here with some of these charts. First, the BLS with a huge miss, or I should say the huge revisions negative. The thing I want to point out on this is that revisions right there, right? May was 144,000, but after the revisions, it was actually 19,000 jobs. And then in June, 147,000 jobs created. Then it gets revised down to 14,000, right? If you look at just the 2025, since the beginning of the year, after all the negative revisions occur after the headline numbers come out, we're averaging negative 77,000 jobs created in 2020, in the months so far in 2025. All right. That's why we have a huge problem with this BLS data. Um, a lot of it's imputed, and it's just the modeling is poor. It's really tough. So when we look at CPI, we always talk about, and that's our next grid here. This is from the reading on Tuesday. We know that shelter has a huge lag component, right? And it coming down a little bit, right? 3.67 from 3.8. It's a slow burn. The thing that hurts us, right? If it's 0.1% of the CPI reading, right? Well, of that 1%, you have 0.09% of that reading in owner's equivalent rent. And if you haven't heard me say this before, owner's equivalent rent is a household survey where they call people and say, hey, how much do you think you could rent your house for with it being unfurnished and not including utilities? Again, you're going to get some flawed data. The normal consumer, the normal homeowner, they don't have the professional expertise that we have to do a legitimate CMA for rental and market analysis and give a realistic number. So it's really faulty, flawed data collection. And that's the one that kind of just burned us. Lodging away from home is your hotels and your Airbnb. But again, that didn't really hurt, which I was a little surprised. You usually see an uptick in that during the summer vacationing months, but we may see that in the next report that's reporting on for August. So remains to be seen. The items at the bottom: airline fares, used autos, and new cars and medical care. They've been the things that have been persistence in the inflation. But man, when you look at everything else, core is 0.7. It's really not that bad. We remember the Fed lowered rates 0.5% last September. Our readings for inflation right now are lower than they were last September, but yet there's been zero cuts. So when you see this pressure from economists, whether it's the current administration, secretary, um, uh, of the Treasury and stuff like that, Bill Pulte from the FHFA, all being very vocal. Well, we're kind of sitting here thinking about, well, if you're so data dependent, Fed, because that's what they keep telling us, why are we not lowering rates? And then what's coming out from them is, well, we don't know what the tariffs are going to do. We don't know what the tariffs are going to do. Well, they haven't shown to do much yet, so we'll see. Any questions on the economic and labor data? All right. Our local Northern Virginia markets are usually of a focus for us. If you look at the Northern Virginia region, when you think that, think Fairfax. Median price in July, 760,073, up 3.4% year over year. But yet total sales are down 1.6. Prince William area region is 575 for median price, and that's down 0.2% year over year, and total sales were down 3.7 year over year. The Dulles area, they're always lagging in the reporting, so these are June numbers. Median price 810,000, that's up 7.3%. Total sales up 1.3%. Those of you that serve that Loudoun area, and if you got buyers sitting on the fence, this is, while we've seen obviously a cooling, I think, in the Northern Virginia and Prince William areas, and Alexandria, Arlington, inside the Beltway, that Dulles region is still on fire. And that's, again, there's a cost to waiting for these buyers as these prices continue to escalate. All right, on the lending front, last month I remember our meeting, and it was news like the day before our meeting, or maybe even the morning of that, the Federal Housing Finance Agency was now going to open up, and they want to create some competition in the credit score world, and they permitted mortgage lenders to, get ready to be able to use a VantageScore 4.0. In addition to the classic FICO score model, obviously the cost of credit reports has gone up ridiculously over the years. And this VantageScore 4.0 should bring some competition to the marketplace. We've, at my company, we've had our first kind of snippet of information about it, but as the wheels turn slow. So when this actually gets put in place and we're able to use the VantageScore for underwriting purposes, I'll let you know. But it's obviously this is, it's going to take some time to work its way in the system. But I think it's good news, especially when we take a look. What I didn't have last month was some infographics here. And, when you look at this, and you look at some of these categories, you'll see that the VantageScore is going to be more favorable to a consumer score. They're going to, weight things a little bit differently compared to the classic FICO. Like your payment history is always going to be first and foremost the highest, right? I mean, point blank. But their, VantageScore is going to look at 41% as opposed to 35%. And then, credit card balances and credit utilization are kind of separate in the VantageScore model at 20% apiece, where they're kind of lumped together in a credit balance is 30%. So you've got really 40% looking at credit utilization in the VantageScore. And I just think I think it's going to be a little more forgiving. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think FICO has been extremely strict and extremely conservative for so long. And the evidence of that is when you have a mortgage credit report on the same borrower, the classic FICO score numbers are typically anywhere between 20 to 40 points lower than what a consumer might get on a VantageScore model, like they would get, let's say, on Credit Karma. Like Credit Karma, for example, runs VantageScore 3.0. So they're definitely a little more forgiving, a little more added flexibility, and hopefully we can get, more people qualified to become homeowners under VantageScore. A couple other things to note: the ranges, right? The categories of excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor, so on and so forth. As you can see, there's going to be a greater flexibility and tameness, if you will, on the VantageScore compared to the classic FICO. So all this is coming down the pike. It's a matter of time, but I think this is a good change overall for the industry, mainly from a cost perspective, first and foremost. What fees are being passed down to the applicants for the credit report right now? Again, that first slide said they've gone up 500% in the last 10 years. It's crazy. All right. Now I've shared one of these videos from this RE Source TV before. I'm going to try and do it again. If you bear with me, there's a 4-minute video that came out the other day, and I think it's really, really informative. And it's asking that question with, if you've seen some headlines, there's this idea out there that 6% in mortgage rates is going to be the magic number to kind of unlock and unfreeze the frozen real estate market. So I'm going to drag the YouTube thing over here, and hopefully if we have to sit through one ad, I hope that's the worst of it, but I hope you guys can see this. I'm going to pull this up, and I want you to hear this out, and then you'll have the link when I email you the slide deck. I'll preface this with, if you think this is good information to get in front of potential buyers who might be fence sitting right now, I think there's some good food for thought here in this message.
I don't hear any audio, Mike.
You're not hearing the audio?
I'm not, no.
Hmm. Cindy, do you know what I need to, if I need to do anything special so that the audio comes through? I don't know if Cindy's nearby.
Would it be possible for you to share the link?
Oh yeah, I'm going to share the link. The link's going to be in the slide deck.
Yeah, okay.
But I was hoping that, let me see if I do video settings. Cindy, are you there?
Yeah.
Do you know how I can get, they're not hearing the audio in this video. Is there something I have,
Interesting.
is there something I have to do on my end from,
No. That's crazy.
because the video's up on the YouTube
Yeah.
page and my sound
Well, you're having a lot of
is obviously up
sound
on my
problems. I mean, you're
computer.
going in and out and stuff. So I wonder if it can also be that your signal strength isn't good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking here to see if there's any new changes, but generally we just click it right in the presentation.
Wondering if I do,
You
if I select
could
the speaker same as system, if
you
it
could
comes through?
share you could just go to YouTube. Just go to YouTube instead of having it. You have it on your presentation, or did you go to YouTube?
Oh, I'm on YouTube. The screen you see on the shared screen is me on the YouTube page.
Oh, okay. Then it should work without any problem, because when you share your screen, it's anything at all that you have. So I don't know. Let me see if there's, I mean, I got everything open for you.
Oh, share sound. Hold on.
Oh, good. You found it. Okay, good. Maybe that must be something new. Is it on YouTube or is it in your,
You know, it's Zoom stuff.
is it? Yeah, because we've never
All right,
done
guys,
that.
I'm going to pull it back. Hopefully
Great.
we don't have to sit through an ad. I'm going to pull it back and just give me thumbs up, thumbs down if you hear the audio on your end.
All year, home price growth is cooling and supply is
There we
outpacing
go.
demand. We have a nice little window of opportunity here for home buyers. How long will it last? Will it get even better? Let's find out. House hunters should keep in mind that window of opportunity for buyers could be short. New listings have lost steam, essentially flat year over year, and would-be sellers are finally realizing that they may not get the price that they want for their home. Additionally, lower mortgage rates could bring more buyers and more competition. Mortgage purchase applications have been increasing all year as well. Should serious home buyers consider taking this window of opportunity to act fast and lock in a mortgage rate at the lowest levels we've seen since October, while having the ability to negotiate their offer price? That's the question. And if this market has taught us anything over the past 3 years, it's that these little pockets and little windows of opportunity don't last long. Let's go to the charts to see this, thanks to Barry and MBS Highway. We're looking at a 1-year look back of the 6% 30-year coupon. And as you can see, there's quick little windows of opportunity here. Keep in mind, this chart isn't mortgage rates, rather mortgage-backed securities. So in short, when mortgage-backed securities improve, so do rates. So these little improvement spikes are only around for a few days. I'd love to say that the overall trend is that rates are going lower, but the tails just don't support that. We towards 6%. Card show. Talk about it in Logan's favorite topic as well, and it's been in my PowerPoint all year. Harry even talked about it on Friday. We know the administration's goal is to get the 10-year down to 3.9%. And you couple that with a lowering mortgage spread of 2.2, 2.3-ish, and we could see rates in the low 6s relatively soon. This is something we and many others have talked about all year, and it would be really, really cool if another one of our wild cards hit again for us. Now, why is 6% so relevant? Logan and Housing Wire did a pretty good job explaining this last week. In short, mortgage rates have dropped to a year-to-date low of 6.5%, sparking hope that a move towards 6% could unlock significant housing demand. Historical data shows us that when rates approach 6%, purchase applications, home sales, and builder confidence all rise sharply. with past drops to this level leading to hundreds of thousands of additional home sales. If rates could consistently stay near 6%, existing home sales could potentially increase by up to 500,000 annually, bringing the market closer to 2019 performance levels. I'm seeing some nervous water in the market right now, guys. I love to fish. And on the river, nervous water is that water that isn't slick and it's not raging, it's just right. And that's where the opportunity is and where you can land a ton of fish. We're seeing that show up in mortgage applications as well, up considerably year over year. Now, that hasn't translated into a ton of sales yet, but as Logan stated, it could unleash up to 500,000 more opportunities and lenders that doesn't even take into account the rate and term and cash out refinance opportunities. Now, we'll leave you with the graph that may have a sneak peek into where these opportunities are. This is change in active inventory by state, and you can see easily that Colorado, Texas, Washington, Florida, and Utah are all up considerably, foreshadowing some real nice opportunities for home buyers. The market's giving us a rare and fragile gift right now: lower rates, cooling prices, and growing supply in key states. But how long before that window slams shut? Will rates actually touch that 6% mark that has historically unlocked a surge of demand? And if they do, will you be already in a home or still waiting on the sidelines while competition floods back in? That nervous water we're in right now doesn't last forever in fishing or in housing, and those who cast their line at the right moment tend to land the biggest catch. Now, the data is telling us where the fish are, and the question is, are you ready to reel them in before they swim away? Okay, guys, I know I ran with that analogy a little bit too much, but you guys get the point. This is a great show to share with potential home buyers and also share within the office, and then talk about how to best leverage the position we are in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I thought that was a good message. And like Ryan said there in his video, if you think this is useful to put in front of any potential buyers, I think that's a good thing for them to hear. And you know that I'm glad he brought up the candlestick charts, because those moments where rates are kind of at their best or at their most improvement within a range of time, they're fleeting at best, or at least they have been, really since 2022. And there's these little pockets of time. And that's what's frustrating for me is, the rates will improve, and then next week, the following week, I get a phone call about, hey, I heard rates dropped. Well, in that time frame from when they were low, we had, some of this data comes out. Maybe the market goes in the opposite direction, but yet the reporting is always delayed. So the reality is that they are a daily event. And when things are good, they usually don't stay good for too long. So it's all about having our buyers, in position to strike when the time is right, to get locked in or get under contract. But I can think of many applicants I've had this summer that are in that fence sitting category that I'm going to share this video with myself. So hopefully you got some good value out of that. And I don't know what you guys are seeing. It's definitely it's very sluggish. I know they talked about mortgage applications being up, but they're not really transferring into sales and purchases. So it'll be interesting to see if this 6% magic can work its way into the system. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Do you have any questions or thoughts, commentary?
Thank you for the presentation, Mike.
You're very welcome.
You guys having trouble?
Oh, we got a quiet group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm wrapped up. I don't know if I asked them if there were any questions or any comments or opinions on any of this stuff.
Okay. I would send that video out when you send the slides out, the link, since it was kind of choppy. I
Okay.
think internet maybe, but yeah, where did you hit the button? because that must be a new thing because other
Can
people that
you-
have done it, well, they may have hit it. I just never knew about it. Okay.
So, but if I pull that menu down, do you see it on the screen share?
No.
Yeah, see, it's under share. And when the share, can you see that come up or no? That's just
No,
me.
that's just
Yeah.
you. That's
It's
why.
it's on the share screen. It's over on the right-hand side. There's a
Okay.
box.
Well, at least I know.
there's-
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew there's one, we use Teams internally
Uh-huh.
for our company, and similar thing where if we want to share our computer audio, if we're doing something like a video share like that, or going to a YouTube site, I figured there was something somewhere, and I just didn't know if you knew where it was, but it is when the presenter goes to share, it's there.
Well, that's why, because rarely am I presenting. That
Yeah.
I'm usually running it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yep. All right, guys. Well, I will get this, over to you. And I just want to make sure that no one had any questions because it's kind of important. Hard to get you sometimes. All right. Excellent. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you
Okay.
next month.
All right. Bye.